As you analyse the opportunities and threats facing your church, I hope you put your leadership team right at the top of the list. No group can be a greater blessing to the well-being of the church than this one, or a greater threat. So we pastors need to invest in the well-being of our leadership teams as a top priority. What might this look like? Well, 3 things spring to my mind. First of all, love your leaders. Love your leaders. Jesus devotes his 3 best years to developing future leaders. Day after day, week after week, month after month. You really get to know people this way, don't you? And these are not easy men to get to know. He knows that 1 will betray him, 3 will let him down in Gethsemane, another will deny him, and in the end all of them will forsake him and flee. And yet, knowing all this, his love survives every discouragement. He loves them to the end. And we need to do the same with the fellow leaders God has given us to work with. If we really want to bless people and seek the best for them and yearn for them to succeed, we've got to invest time and emotional energy in them. We need to pray for them, show an interest in their lives, their families, their work, find out what brings them joy, little by little discover what keeps them awake at night. Above all, we need to seek to encourage them in their own daily walk with the Lord Jesus. If we want to invest in our fellow leaders, let's leave them in no doubt that we love them. Number 2, grow with your leaders. In the last few years, lots of attention has been focused on making disciples. Great, that's exactly what the Lord Jesus has commissioned us to do. But as pastors, are we investing in the ongoing discipling of our fellow leaders? In the context of watching life and doctrine closely, Paul says this to his disciple Timothy: "Be diligent in these matters. Give yourself wholly to them so that everyone may see your progress." I wonder if anyone's spotted my progress lately. There's so much to learn about the art of godly living and the craft of gospel ministry, especially in the post-Christian context we find ourselves in today. We're all works in progress. So why don't we set out to learn together? I mean, who better to learn with than your fellow leaders? So get creative, transform your leadership team into a growing community, a learning community. Read Ready, Steady, Grow by Ray Evans. Work through the next edition of Primer together. Cover stuff that will stretch you as learners. You'll enjoy it. And best of all, you'll be modelling for the church what a learning community looks like. So love your leaders, grow with your leaders, and thirdly, spend time with your leaders. Going back to the Lord Jesus, we read that he went up on a mountainside and called to him those he wanted, and they came to him. He appointed 12, designating them apostles that they might be with him. We know we're not the Lord Jesus, but when do our fellow leaders ever get to be with us? Not just to see the kind of ministers we are, but far more important, to see the kind of men we are. It's vital that we don't just share business stuff, but that we learn to share life. I love the way that Jesus never treated his disciples as colleagues. He delighted to hang out with them as friends. So when the demands of ministry became unsustainable, he said, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." On another occasion, he says, "Come and have breakfast." How does that work out for us? When do we ever say to our fellow leaders, "Come with me, come and have"? When is there time for us to enjoy each other over a meal, on a good walk, with a glass of wine? My good friend and sparring partner, Trevor Archer, often asks this question of pastors about their fellow leaders. You may have their diaries, but do you have their hearts? Do you have their hearts? What a great question. Love your leaders, invest in them, spend time with them, and you will. Why does this matter? It matters because your leadership team is either a threat or an opportunity, an asset or a liability. On the one hand, if your church members don't see you loving, learning, laughing together, don't expect them to. On the other hand, if your church members see you flourishing together, you won't have to tell them about growing in Jesus. You'll be able to show them.